Welcome to Born to Win. I'm Brian Proctor, and each Monday I share a short message designed to help you start your week with focus, clarity, and intention. These episodes are built around timeless principles that I learned from my father, Bob Proctor. And when understood and applied, these principles can change the direction of your life. If this podcast has been meaningful to you, please rate it, follow it, and share it with someone who could benefit from these ideas. It helps this message reach people who are ready to hear that success isn't something you chase, it's something you allow. You were born to win, and when you live in harmony with the laws of life, you begin to experience that truth in every area. Today's episode is titled The Law of Perpetual Transmutation of Energy. So take a deep breath, open your mind, and let's get started. We're continuing our series on the laws of life, principles that are always operating, whether you're aware of them or not. We've talked about rhythm, cause and effect, gender, and gestation. And today we're picking this series back up with a deeper look at a law that explains something incredibly important. That energy is constantly moving, flowing, and transforming from non-physical, like thoughts and emotions, into physical form, your results. First, grasp the concept that nothing stays the same. And because of this, change is always available to you. Understanding this law will ease that feeling of being stuck. The universal law of perpetual transmutation of energy states, energy is always in motion. Energy is always changing form. It cannot disappear or go away. All energy can be transformed, so all energy manifests. Everything is capable of change. Think about it. You've experienced this. You wake up one day feeling motivated, clear, focused. Another day, you feel heavy, distracted, uncertain. Same person, different state. That's not random. It's energy in motion. You may wake up and think, this is just how I feel today, and then live your day from that feeling. When you do this, that low energy dictates your actions, your decisions, and your results. But here's what I want you to understand. Your current state is not fixed. It is fluid. You can change it. My father taught this in a very practical way. He would say, energy is always in a state of transmutation, which means whatever state you're in can be shifted, but not by waiting, but by recognizing the low energy feeling and taking action to raise your level of energy. So let's return to the equation. Your thoughts plus your feelings equals your actions, and your actions equal your results. So now take it deeper. Your thoughts generate energy. Your feelings amplify that energy. Your actions express it. So if you want to change your results, you must shift your energy by adjusting the thoughts you are focusing on. Think about heat. If you place a hot object next to a cold one, what happens? The heat transfers. The warmer object raises the temperature of the cooler one. That's not optional. That's law. Energy always moves from higher to lower. Your internal state works the same way. If you introduce higher level thinking, it begins to lift your lower emotional state, which means you are not a passive observer of your state. You can choose to be an active participant in it. Let's bring a little science into this. Because what we're talking about here, it's not abstract. It's measurable. In physics, there's a principle called the first law of thermodynamics, and it states this: energy cannot be created or destroyed. It can only be transferred or transformed from one form to another. Now think about that. Energy doesn't disappear. It doesn't stop. It simply changes form. And that lines up perfectly with what we're talking about here. Your thoughts are energy. Your emotions are energy. Your actions are energy in motion. So when you feel stuck, it's not because energy is gone. It's because it's being expressed in a different form. Maybe it's showing up as doubt or hesitation or frustration, but it's still energy. And here's where this is empowering. If energy can't be destroyed, then it can be redirected. It can be elevated and transformed, which means you're not trying to create motivation. You're learning how to shift the energy that already exists. For example, from doubt to focus, from hesitation to movement, from uncertainty to decision. Science confirms what these laws have been teaching all along. Energy is always here. The question is, what are you doing with it? My father used to demonstrate this in a very simple but powerful way when he was on stage. He would bring out a water glass with dark coffee in it. He'd hold it up and say, this glass represents your current state, your current thinking, your current results. Then he would ask a simple question. If I want to change what's in the glass, how do I do it? Now, most people would say you empty it, but that's not what he did. He didn't try to remove the coffee. He simply took a pitcher and began pouring fresh water into the glass. And as he poured, the old coffee-stained water began to rise, then spilled over, and eventually the glass was filled with clear, fresh water. Then he would say, you don't eliminate the negative, you replace it with the positive. That's the law of perpetual transmutation of energy in action. You don't fight your current state. You don't try to force it out. You introduce something stronger. If you're feeling doubt, you don't sit there and try to eliminate doubt. You introduce belief. If you're feeling stuck, you don't try to remove the feeling of being stuck. You introduce movement. If your thinking is limited, you don't try to erase it. You replace it with a higher level of thinking. And over time, just like the coffee-stained water in that glass, the old state is pushed out. Not because you fought it, but because you replaced it. This is how higher energy transforms lower energy. Not through resistance, but through substitution. Most people get this backwards. They wait to feel better before they act. They allow thoughts like, I'll start when I'm motivated, or I'll take action when I feel ready. But that reverses the process, because action is often the catalyst for a shift in energy. Think about starting a car in cold weather. At first, the car feels resistant, slow, heavy, but once the engine turns over and you keep it running, it warms up. It becomes smoother, more responsive. Your energy works the same way. You don't wait for it to feel easy. You start and the energy builds. The key is to take a first step. Rather than reacting to how you feel, decide how you want to feel and act accordingly. This can be as simple as making a phone call to a friendly voice. If you focus on problems, you energize them. You strengthen them. If you focus on solutions, you begin to shift. Not magically, but systematically. Imagine a dark stage. Wherever the spotlight goes, that's what becomes visible. That's what becomes important. Your attention, it works the same way. Your focus determines where your energy flows. Look around. You see this law everywhere. For example, in conversations, one negative person can bring the energy down. One positive person can lift the room up. At the office, one focused hour can change the trajectory of a day. In relationships, one intentional action can change the tone of an interaction. Energy is always moving, and it is always influencing something. Like everything, this is about awareness. This law becomes powerful when you become aware of it, because now you stop saying, this is just how I am today, and you start asking, what can I do to shift this? Think about tuning an instrument. When it's out of tune, everything sounds off, but small adjustments bring it back into alignment. Your internal state works the same way. You don't need a complete overhaul, you need small adjustments. You can shift your energy through a new thought, a decision, movement, focus, action. Small changes, repeated, create momentum. Once energy begins to move in a new direction, it builds, and that's when change becomes easier. You've aligned with the law. So why do people stay stuck? People stay stuck because they reinforce the same state. They think the same thoughts and focus on the same problems without any curiosity. And because of this, they repeat the same behaviors, and everything stays the same. When you accept that this law is not working against you, but instead it is working for you, it means you won't be locked into one state. Instead, you look for ways to transform the state you are in. So here's your Born to Win practice for this week. First, be aware of your state throughout the day. Notice when you dip into a low energy state and pause. Does it feel negative, or do you simply need a rest? If energy needs to shift, introduce a higher level thought. Something simple, a compassionate command from yourself to yourself. For example, I can move forward. It just takes a step. I'm in control of my direction. Then take immediate action, no matter how small, and keep repeating, like walking a path one foot in front of the other, again and again. Because repetition, it builds momentum. So remember, you are not a victim of your environment. You are a creator of your environment. Take ownership of that responsibility and start creating the circumstances you desire. Thank you for joining me today on Born to Win. If this message resonated with you, please share it with someone who could use a reminder of their own inner greatness. It also helps me to reach more people if you rate and follow this podcast. You can also find me on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok at Brian Proctor Official. And remember, success isn't about luck or timing. It's about alignment. You were designed for success, built for expansion, and born to win. I'll see you next Monday. Until then, think big, trust yourself, and keep growing.